morning, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Comic Review. I'm your host, Dylan Wallace. Today, we got a great issue for you guys. It's actually very late on Friday. By the time we finish recording this, it may actually be Saturday morning, but still, I wanted to make sure that we got a show in for this week. Things are still a little bit crazy with packing and everything and getting ready for the end of the month when we close on the new house. We move out of the old one, but I was actually able to read through all the books pretty early on this week. So it's spring break down here in like the greater Atlanta area. So I got a very long commute to work. It's like an hour and 15 minutes both ways. And so I always build in a little bit of a buffer. And, you know, if traffic's really good, I end up reading a couple books before work starts. And so this week, I just kind of kept my same routine, but I was shaving off like 20 to 25 minutes. So I was able to read, 2, if not 3 books before, each workday. So that got me to 10 very quickly. But even still, didn't really prepare me or give me enough time out of work to be able to record an episode. So for today, it is still going to be like catching up. A lot of the books that we're going to review are from last week. This week's polls are tiny. There's just 4 books. So I was thinking, just go ahead and wait and get to the end of the week and then just read these 4. But I was just making such good time and I felt like time's kind of precious. I just don't know how busy things are going to get when I got home. Let's just go ahead, knock out 10, we'll review them, and then we'll just save the 4 for the following week. So that is going to be the plan for today. As always, we're going to talk about the polls for this week, the reviews themselves, and then the polls for next week as well. And we'll just kind of keep it going. So let's start with those polls for the week. And as always, I like to check in what are the picks of the week thus far. So for the video, folks, I got it pulled up here on League. Number 1 book, The Fury of Firestorm. Number 1, 26% of the vote, which is kind of a lower percentage. I feel like this week was a bit of an off week, not only because of the size of my polls, but then looking at these picks of the week as well. Just feels like, you don't have the heavy hitters, your absolutes, for example, or anything from the Ultimate Universe. So that's number 1. Then number 2 is going to be Bleeding Hearts issue number 3 with 10% of the vote. The Orc, number 3 with 5% of the vote. Iron Man number 4 with 5% of the vote. And then Amazing Spider-Man issue number 26 with 5% of the vote as well. So of those, I just have 1. It's just Iron Man 4, which is unusual for me. Usually it's at least 2. Sometimes it's all the way up to 4. And I've had it before where it's all top 5 books. So just 1 for this week. But with that, we'll flip over to show what exactly those polls are. So Iron Man issue number 4, like I mentioned. Then we have Moonstar number 2. Then The Nice House by the Sea issue number 9. And Transformers issue 31. So those will all be saved for next week's review when we go ahead and read through 10 or so books, which means 6 of them are probably going to be backlog books. So that is what is going to happen next week. But as for this week, let's go ahead and jump into the review, shall we? So we have 10 books as per usual. If it's your first time joining, first off, welcome. Appreciate you tuning in. But the way that we work or do these reviews anyways is I'll read through the 10 so you know which books that I will be reviewing from the top in case you want to skip around. When I review the books, I'll tell you my rating on League. I'll tell you the League rating as well. I'll catch you up on the story, and I do spoil the book. So if you're not into spoilers, it is just not going to be the show for you. But after that, I will show off the artwork for any of the folks that are on video, and then we'll kind of close things out with whether or not this is a good one to jump into. As you know, we're in a random number. Maybe it's a good place to jump in. Maybe I'll tell you to wait and hold off. So I will try to give that recommendation. So with that, the 10 books for this week are going to be Daredevil issue number 1, X-Men number 28, Absolute Superman number 18, The Autumn Kingdom, the Wraithbound Queen issue number 3, The Royals number 1, and then we go further into the trades. We have Saga. This is issue number 54, which is the final of the long like multi-volume set that I have. It's the final issue of that. So the anthology, that's the word I was looking for. Then we have Ghost Peppers. I think this is issue number 3-ish, maybe number 4. Again, this one doesn't have the single issue break in it, but just kind of catch you up on the story where I'm at there. Then we have Poison Ivy. This is issue number 22, I want to say. Yes, that's correct. Then we had Echolands, issue number 6. That's the final one in this trade. And then we're starting, finally, Batman Dark Patterns. So this is issue number 1. It's going to be a 12-issue trade that we'll be working through for this one. So those will be the books in that order. We'll start off here with Daredevil. And the reason I wanted to start with Daredevil this week, because usually I start with an absolute or an ultimate, is because I've never read a Daredevil book before. And I know Daredevil is one of those things. If you're someone in my position doing a comic book podcast, you have to read Daredevil at some point. Many put Daredevil, and there's like a particular run, and I'm sorry, this really shows how much of an amateur that I am, but there's a particular run that is like an absolute, masterpiece, a Mount Rushmore contender for many people. And so for me, I was like, always been a blind spot. Never interested, never picked anything up, maybe outside of New Comic Book Day, Free Comic Book Day, which is actually coming up here, first Saturday in May. So right around the corner here. But seeing that we had a reset, I was like, okay, let's pick it up, just read the first one, see whether or not we're going to go and jump into it. And that's what I did. So I read this one. We have Matt Murdock here, who is, rather than being an attorney or practicing attorney, he is a law professor. So it seems like he's been Daredevil for a while, just changing his profession in the real world, trying to get acclimated to being a professor. He, of course, is located in New York, and Hell's Kitchen in particular is like his little district. And when he's out on patrol, he runs into a villain, but, it lays the groundwork of how his powers and abilities work, right? So he's blind, but his other senses are very heightened. And so with that, he's able to sonar detect where people are, where punches are going to land. He can almost anticipate where these attacks are going to come from. But the person that he's facing now, this vigilante, they have some way to mask, and it's very random, the patterns of attacking, moving. You can't get a good sense of what all is happening. So he runs into this person in this abandoned building, gets his ass handed to him, and gets tossed out of the building. So that's issue number 1. It doesn't give us a good sense of where the story's going to go, other than there's this vigilante who Daredevil doesn't seem to have a good hold on, doesn't have a calling card, and has a counter in place for Daredevil. So we'll see exactly where it goes. For me, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily continue with it. I think I just pre-ordered the first one, so it's not even on the pull sheet to move forward. And I think if we continue to hear good things, you can always catch up further down the road, right? Just start picking up trade volumes, just like I've been doing with like Poison Ivy and some others. But as of right now, I got my fill. It's like, okay, I see where this goes. I see where it goes from an art perspective as well. It's good. I enjoyed it a lot, but I don't think it was enough to like, this is going to be a long-standing series to go ahead and add it in the rotation. I'm like actively back in that phase of let's try to pare things down and get it to the point where we have sub 10 in polls, and the polls for this week were very small. Polls for next week are right around there as well. So I think we're in a good spot right now. Maybe over the summer, and especially after Free Comic Book Day, where you get a list of those different previews of where the big two and some of the other independents are going to be going for the remainder of the year, then maybe we add on some things as we get to the back half of the year. But for me, I'm good with the 1. I understand the hype. That's cool and all. But for me, the story itself was a great launching point. Certainly at a 4.5, League gave it a 4.2, so right there with everyone else. But I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm grasped enough to continue to move forward. It was like as a perfect one shot, but I don't know if I'm super interested in this villain and the angle. So yeah, we'll just kind of leave it there. With the artwork here, go ahead and show that off. I'd say above average. It's almost like Miles Morales-esque is the way that I would describe it. Not quite, but it has some elements to it. Definitely less action-oriented, as you have a lot of these teaching moments here, rather than the action basically at the very beginning. Kind of shows off him on the prowl, and then towards the end, of course, where he runs into this villain and then gets tossed out of the building. So that's the vigilante. It's kind of masking their moves and makes it difficult for Daredevil to track him down, and then here's where he's tossed off the building, landing on a car in kind of a classic comic book trope. So yeah, that's Daredevil issue number 1. I gave it 4.5, and Lee gave it a 4.2. Obviously, as a number 1, perfect time to go ahead and jump in. And I think a good one to just, see if this is something you'd be interested in as well. Obviously, they have the TV show going on right now, so I think that would be a nice tie-in for many folks. So with that, we'll go to number 2 here, which is X-Men issue number 28. So this one, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.9. So basically there, we have a continuation of the Danger Room. I believe this is part 3. Yes, it is. So not necessarily the best time to jump in. You're going to be better off going in at issue number 26. But for this one, what we have going on here is Danger Room is like a group of people, and it's tough to tell if it's like a whole bunch of mutant haters or if it's like a bunch of mercenaries. But either way, there's this team that was assembled, and they're trying to break down the X-Men in 3 different ways. So one is you have the large pack that is called to a ship out in the middle of the ocean. The sheriff was taken there and held captive. They arrive there, and it's a trap, and it's basically sets up a danger room, and they're trying to escape. So that's one part of the X-Men. The other part is Psylocke in particular was sent out on a mission to try to help out. I think it's her ex-boyfriend or something. That plane is shot down. So the Danger Room group thinks that Psylocke is dead. And then you have this third group, or just the people that are just remaining at home base. Glob in particular is out in the town. There's a lot of tension between the town and the X-Men, and this is a town that was building Sentinels back in the day. So, a lot of mutant hate, and Blob gets shot. So when he gets shot, that picks us up to this issue here. Both Omega Kid and Temper are pissed off about it. They want to go into the town and start hunting down whoever the person that shot them. Magneto thinks it's a trick, like, hey, this is only going to cause more issues, like, we need to think about it strategically. They want us to do this, right? They're goading us to go in and create a scene. So they don't ignore him, and they go out into the town. The X-Men, the main group on the ship, they continue to fight into battle, and they get sucked down basically deeper into the Danger Room. And then Psylocke, who was shot down at the beginning of the issue, at the end you find out that she was able to escape, and they're like relaying messages behind the scenes to the different goons that are part of this little Danger Room syndicate, and Psylocke hears all that. So she's in the know now and understands, okay, here's what we're all up against. So, it's a good continuation, better than the last part, which is just basically an explanation of all these different folks that are part of this Danger Room syndicate. And now we're actually having a continuation or an advancement of the story. So it does get some bonus points there, and I do like kind of the direction of where it is headed. Thus the 4. On the art side, better than usual for the X-Men, so I'll give it credit there. So yeah, I seemed at first like this Danger Room thing was going to be meh to bad, but this issue kind of picked it up for me, which is good, because the second one was like, oh boy, this just looks like a whole bunch of fodder and filler until we get to the next big thing that's happening. But I like where this could potentially lead towards the end. So yeah, that is X-Men issue number 28. Again, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 3.9. Alrighty, then next here we have Absolute Superman, issue number 18. Of course, the Absolute Universe is incredible. This is an excellent time to go ahead and jump into this one, as it's the start of a new arc. This one I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4.2. And the new villain that we are introducing here is King Shazam. But think about him as Absolute Black Adam is who it is. So we have the intro, which is the backstory of, just call him Black Adam because his name is Adam. And, going through his whole arc of being a slave and then being, kind of trapped. Then we get to modern day, present day now. We have Talia, who is trying to save her father, Ra's al Ghul. Ra's al Ghul is the big bad, of course, but he's been almost like turned good, but I think just the will has been sucked out of him from Superman reading a whole bunch of letters of all the destruction that he's done, beating down to him of like how terrible of a human that you are. Talia is trying to restore him, right? Put him into a Lazarus pool. Let's bring him back to his glory. Ra's al Ghul is like refusing. He's very weak, pathetic, doesn't even want to continue on, and just basically wants to die. So they're in one of those final labs to, toss Ra's al Ghul into the Lazarus pool. But before they do, Lois shows up. So she shows up, starts fighting with Talia. Superman shows up as well, and everyone starts fighting with each other. As that takes place, this new character is then introduced to us. It's like this almost like space sci-fi mech suit with this huge hammer. And I thought it was going to be Steel Man, but it doesn't really give us an indication of who this is, other than him claiming that he built these Lazarus pools and he was there to free it. And we're like, free it? Like, what the heck does that mean? He smashes down, and out from underneath comes King Shazam, or Black Adam, who's about to wreck some shit. So that is the cliffhanger, and that is where it leads. And the story, pretty cool. The only thing that didn't push it above to a 4.5 is I needed an explanation on who this hammer guy is. I'm sure it's going to come. We're going to get it. And I hope issue 19 isn't just a full-on backstory of all that. But, yeah, we need a little bit of that to be able to understand better. The other thing I'll say, too, is it was kind of cool at the beginning of the issue where we have Black Adam, the enslavement and everything. It was actually like Brainiac coming back into the past and who like stored him into this thing. So it's constantly Brainiac just poking here and there. Obviously, we have the Lex thing that's going on present day as well. So it's cool. Go ahead, show off some of the artwork, all the backstory stuff like I mentioned before. And then with that, we get to modern day. We get Talia with Ra's al Ghul. We get Lois showing up. Superman showing up as well. And then here is this guy, right? It's almost in like a welder's outfit. So think of Dead Space, the video game, but like this huge sledgehammer. And he comes in and he's like, screw you guys. I'm busting this prison open. And there he is, King Shazam, who pops out, who's going to definitely be a problem for Superman. So yeah. That is Superman issue number 18. I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.2. Excellent one to go ahead and jump into if you want. Then, next up, we're going to switch over to the Autumn Kingdom, the Wraithbound Queen, issue number 3. This one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4 as well.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
And so for this, it is a continuation of winter and summer going down into the layer of the Wraithbound Queen, and they are trying to free their father. And the kicker here is they found the sword, and the power of the sword is it gets extraordinarily light when there's danger around, or it gets really, really heavy and turns to stone if there's no danger. So I think it's winter is separated from summer, and winter is with the Wraithbound Queen right now. And she's using all these illusions of like, oh, you don't have to, go and find your sister. You're okay here. And has these illusions of her mother and her father and her sister as well. But really, she's about to be sacrificed to used as fuel or food for all her little minions. And so Winter's trying to fight it off as much as possible. Summer, on the other hand, has the sword and was separated, and she's trying to get to Winter. And she runs into Esthriel. And Esthriel is this like fictional character that's woven throughout the story. And we think it's, maybe years ago, she's some sort of folktale hero who came down and like liberated this area. It's not very clear, and that's done purposefully. But she runs into the vision of her, which is the first time that any of these characters have actually interacted with this. And it's not something that's in the distant past. So they start fighting. And when they start fighting, it turns out that she's an illusion as well. So Summer is able to defeat her pretty quickly, and she goes running off, and she finally catches up to Winter. And when she gets to Winter, it looks like the illusions are gone, and the Wraithbound Queen is dead. So we don't know how, but Winter was able to overcome the Queen. And so now the sisters are reunited, and they're trying to find their father. They continue further down into the cavern or into the cave, and they find their father along with a whole bunch of other humans, like doing slave labor, basically, just like grunt work, pushing carts and stuff like that. And so that's the cliffhanger. I'm sure issue number 4 is probably going to be the end, if I had to guess. Yes, because the previous one was just 4. You had the 4 different seasons, and then it ended. We'll see if they're able to free their father or not. So with that, definitely not a good time to jump in, because we're basically at the end here. I mostly picked this one up because I really enjoyed the first Autumn Kingdom. This second one, not quite as good. I'd say just I don't know, the detail behind it. This misses the mark when it comes to show don't tell on the storytelling, whereas Skinbreaker is crushing it, right? So if you guys have been listening for a while, I talk about Skinbreaker and how it barely says anything, but it tells the full complete story. This is trying to do that same thing, but it doesn't do it nearly as effectively, especially for this run, whereas Volume 1 I think did a better job. So Volume 1 was like, okay, cool, I want to see how the story is going, and then this is unfortunately a letdown. So think of like, Season 1 of a TV show, it's excellent, you get to Season 2, and I'm like, this isn't what they were doing in Season 1, it's not hitting the same. That's kind of where we're at right now. So we'll finish it up and see how they land the plane for issue number 4. But as of right now, the Autumn Kingdom, the Wraithbound Queen, issue number 3, I gave it a 4. League gave it a 4 as well. Then we have the Royals. So the Royals, issue number 1. It looked interesting, so that's the reason that I picked it up. I'll be totally honest on this. I was completely just sold on the cover, and I read a little bit the synopsis. It looks like it's some sort of gambling heisty thing, but it actually didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be about. So for the Royals, I gave it a 3.5. League actually gave it a better score. They gave it a 4.1. This is a chunkier issue as well. It's a 40-page issue, and it felt like the writing style of this, just a little too much text and over-explaining on each panel. That was a little bit unnecessary. So it felt almost kind of choppy as I'm reading through it, of like, yeah, you could have skipped a whole bunch of this dialogue and I still would have gotten to the same conclusion, right? It's like, it's obvious that the words that are coming out of both of these characters' mouths is implied from the image. So I don't need you to kind of go through that dialogue. So that kind of irked me and broke up my immersiveness, I guess, into the book. So that was a challenge there. The second thing is the art. The art is so blah. And I hate being critical on the art side of things, just because I've said it at the very first episode of this podcast, continue to say it now. I can't draw. So all of this is way better than anything that I could ever do. But for me, it's like, this is not, meeting the standard of what a typical comic should be. And I'm sure this one was an extra $1. Yeah, so this is a $4.99 book as well. So, these things are expensive when they start to add up. So it's got to be really worth your while when you're thinking about it that way. The story is two brothers. They can talk telepathically, and they are rigging these poker games. So one brother goes in, it's gambling, Texas Hold'em. The other brother finds a bar and basically says, yeah, the other guy has the suit, you have this, and they're winning a whole bunch of poker tournaments doing it that way. But the trouble comes when there is a blackout in the middle of the city, so he cannot, relay as to what is happening, and it gets down to like the final hand. The brother who's actually playing poker is like, hey, well, I know the hand that I have, I'm going to go for it anyways. And he does, and the brother who's trying to find a TV can't get to him in time. He's like, no, don't bet, like, we just don't know. He bets, and he wins. Okay, cool. So he wins, they continue in the tournament, all good there. However, the casino that they're at was run by gangsters, Yakuza, something along those lines, and they're onto them. So that's what this whole story is going to be about, is them getting caught, them getting found out. How are they going to get out of the situation? It's one of those kind of classic stories. I was okay with it, but then I started to think about it. Do I really have hope and faith that they're going to be able to turn this around? And the genuine answer is probably not. I don't think suddenly I'm going to be like, oh, this is incredible. Now, there have been books that have done that for me. The Hive is a perfect example of that. That was a horrible, horrible issue number 1. And then afterwards, excellent book. And it was like, why was this the case? I think Free Planet was a little bit that way as well. First one just had way too much exposition, and it really should have been some sort of sci-fi fiction novel. And then the next couple of books, not nearly as much, and it ended up being a little bit better. Of course, I dropped, the Hive actually completed, but the Free Planet I ended up dropping back in the day. This one feels like it's somewhere in the middle of all that, and so I actually just made the decision before starting to record here to go ahead and drop it.
Yeah, no thanks.
So it is a yeah, no thanks for me. I will get issue number 2. We'll see if that changes anything. I have a feeling it's not going to be. So with that, probably can't recommend it to you guys if I'm going to go ahead and drop it. But, at least I gave it a shot. So that's the Royals. Issue number 1. Let's go ahead and show off the artwork. And you'll see what I mean, right? Like, look at the the gutters on these, right? Like, it's so large and just blocky, and it's just, it is going to be just dialogue. I understand that, but I was like just really, really unimpressed by it, unfortunately. Underwhelmed is how I would put it. So, yeah, that's the Royals anyway. Again, I gave it a 3. Oh, for this one, I gave it a 3.5. League gave it a 4.1. Boom. So we go from that. Now we're going to flip over to Saga. So issue number 54, the final in the anthology before we get to the next volume, which will be volume 10. And then from there, it's just going to be singles. Man, this one was a tearjerker, man. I gave it a 5. League gave it a 4.8. It's a phenomenal issue. Do not jump into it at this point. Major spoilers on this. So if you have any interest in Saga whatsoever, you better turn off this podcast right now. Read it all before you get to this, because this spoils everything. You've been warned. So with that, press pause. If you don't want to continue any further, what happens in this book is heartbreaking, man. So we have the gang's all together. They're on this island. They're potentially going to leave. Prince Robot just died. The Will and Marco are fighting each other. You have the diplomat who's there, who was just killed, but it's the Will and Marco fighting one another. Marco grabs the Will, pushes him off the ledge, and they land into the diplomat's spaceship and start flying up into space. Marco, his whole thing is that he's a pacifist, right? He doesn't fight anyone. So here he is fighting on basically the behalf on Prince Robot, who was tracking him down to kill them many moons ago. Now suddenly kin and friends, and just witnessed that death. They're fighting, and Marco has the upper hand. It gets to the point where Marco can make the killing blow, or knock him out, or anything along those lines. But then you see it on his face of, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. The thing I promised I would never do. I'm losing control. I'm about to kill him, and he stops. And freaking Marco. He stops, turns around, gives the Will an opportunity. Will stabs his hand through the chest of Marco, and Marco is dead. He's gone. One of the main freaking characters of the whole thing. He is gone. And so the last part of the issue is just like a nice day at the beach, and the last time basically Hazel and Marco and Alana were all hanging out together. And so you're looking at the freaking cover on the page that I have here of like the little overhead thing. That's the family. Father being Marco, and he's dead, dude. Ugh. It was tough. When I read it, I audibly gasped, no! Like, what the hell? Oh my gosh. I can imagine at this point, people are pissed off at this book and are like, screw it, I'm not reading this shit anymore. And it makes sense, like, this is where you would stop the anthology 100%, because, like, that's massive, right? So where the hell is it all going to go from here? And then the cover for this one, too, it's just, like, one lonely feather, just, like, and just blood behind it. It's like, oh, well, that all makes sense as well. So super sad here. We'll see where it all ends up going, man. Like, oh, my goodness gracious. And I think it was way early on that Hazel alluded to that her father is dead, like in whatever future that she's writing this all out. And that's kind of the cool thing as she narrates through this. Like, they'll say a whole bunch of different stuff that then comes into fruition many issues later. This is issue 54, and I'm pretty sure she said in like the first 10 issues, and it's like, my father's a pacifist or whatever, which would then cost his life. And like, here we are, and now we see how it actually truly unfolded. Whew, crazy, man. Saga is a trip. It's the GOAT. It's the best comic. It's the best story. I love it, and man, what a roller coaster that it takes you on. So anyways, with that, let's go ahead and show the artwork. What a bummer. What a bummer, man. So here's where this is the end of last issue where the Will kills Prince Robot. Then we start this issue, and the fight is on here. Pushed off the ledge. They end up in that spaceship. The fighting between them continues, and then the Marco gets the upper hand, and boom, he's got the shield, He's about to do it. Literally just slice it down, decapitate him. Has the look on his face and everything, and then boom, he realizes, nope, I'm not that person. I'm not that guy. Looks back towards the planet, towards his family. Boom! Stabbed in the chest, folks. And that's it. And he falls down, and he bleeds out, and just we get a sweet memory afterwards. And he's done. He's done. So yeah, Saga, issue 54. What a sad one. My goodness gracious. But a perfect book. 5 out of 5, of course. Not the time to jump in. Start at the beginning, of course. But man, what a wild roller coaster that one is. So we'll keep going. We'll see where it all goes from there. Maybe it was all a dream. They always love to do something like that, right? So next one here. We're going to go into Ghost Pepper. So this whole book or trade, League's given it a 4.3. I'd say each one of the issues thus far have been 4s. Art's outstanding. Story is like a little too slow burning for me, but you can see things are starting to pick up a little bit. So we are in this crazy apocalyptic Mad Maxy world where this guy, the Grand Batar, he saved the world from this crazy monster that was launched up to the moon. Turns out the Grand Batar, though, he is a fraud. It is actually this guy, Ash, who has amnesia as to exactly how he arrived here and everything. He was picked up by Laloy, another main character, who is a food truck operator going from like town to town. And Ash caused a whole bunch of trouble at the local village. Laloy had to scoop him up and is taking him off. So now they're just kind of a ragtag group. She feels, I guess, a little bit of sympathy towards him. But Laloy is now getting chased by her rival food truck guy as they're going to the next village. So that kind of picks up where we're at right now. And so this guy, he's got a whole bunch of people that he's hired as well. And they are attacking, trying to destroy Laloy's truck because they want to understand what is her secret recipe that she keeps beating them out, right? So a little bit of a silly story that's happening there. Meanwhile, the Grand Batar, he is doing a parade. And as he's doing that, everyone still is under the illusion or the guise that Grand Batar saved him, but it was not Grand Batar. So suddenly they're going through the parade, and we don't see what exactly he looks at, but he gets scared and suddenly startled, and he turns around and he runs off with his family to go somewhere else. And then we're shown a panel of these new characters that we haven't met before. It's like, of course, Grand Batar, he got worried. I'm sure he sees Ash out there somewhere or knows that Ash is back. And this is a whole new cast of characters. So we'll see how they're factored in. I'd almost describe them as like bandits maybe, or some sort of mercenaries who know something a little bit more. And then meanwhile, there's this woman who looks like she's a fighter of some sort, like Ash as well. And she's kind of hired by the Grand Batar, or like the Grand Batar's right-hand woman. And she's tasked now with going after Ash and trying to kill him. So she's basically gearing up and preparing. And everyone that she's talking to is like, it's a suicide mission. You can't go after Ash, right? Ash was the one that saved us in the first place. So you can't keep trying to sweep this under the rug and make it look like it's the Grand Batar that did this and clean up after him when it was Ash in the first place that saved us all, So it's that type of storyline that's happening right now. And that's basically where I got to. Obviously, you're going to start at the beginning for this trade, but let's go ahead and show off some of the artwork here. So, yeah, here is where basically you got the food truck. They're doing their thing. This is the lady who's going to be going after the Batar. This is the food truck operator again, trying to start this fight, going after them. Let's see if we can find where the Grand Batar has his little parade. Here it is. So he's having the parade here, and then suddenly he gets startled for some reason, and then here's where those bandits are, like looking down and saying like, hey, you must know that Ash is here or something. And now it looks like Ash is going to take on this guy who is the food truck operator and really show what he's all about. And that's where I stopped. So I think for here I have like maybe 2 more issues worth. And then we will go ahead and wrap up Ghost Pepper. So yeah, I'd say it's a 4 for me. But again, League is at a 4.3. Then next up here we have Poison Ivy, issue number 22. So for this one, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.2. The art in this is really the showpiece. The art is outstanding in this particular issue. But all it is just the fight between Poison Ivy and Woodrow. So the last couple of issues, we've had this whole backstory of how Pam became Poison Ivy. She worked for Woodrue as a grad student and doing a lot of his research, working on the side, and basically fell in love with him. And as he started to experiment on himself, Pam had a hard time separating of like who she was as an individual versus like following him and in, trying to also build out this research, believing in the project, so on and so forth. And so she starts to inject herself with it as well. That's how she gets her powers, becomes Poison Ivy, ends up in Gotham, and the rest is basically history. And so now Woodrue is who we presumed was dead, but it's actually not. They're coming up with a whole bunch of science fiction as to, he created the virus, but the virus then turned into the wild strain from Poison Ivy. So as they're fighting each other, it's basically a stalemate. Neither one has an edge. And what Poison Ivy realizes that she has to do, she has to sacrifice herself. So if she kills herself, it's going to kill the strain, the wild strain, and then also kill the original strain, I guess. And there goes Woodrue. But if she doesn't kill herself, Woodrue's just basically always going to come back in the form of this Lamia spore. So that ends up being the cliffhanger, is her sacrificing herself. So let's see if we can find the start of this one. And the cover on this is pretty dope. So the fight here is awesome. Of course, you got Killer Croc and Solomon Grundy. They're trying to help out as well. Look at this suit that they put for Poison Ivy. Like, it looks insane. Almost like, Cell from Dragon Ball Z, but like turned up to 11. It is so cool. And then from there, it just doesn't even stop, right? The fight scenes and the art behind it is excellent. So top notches, definitely be art of the week if you wanted to give it that. Probably even color of the week. So let's just give it its due as well. So this is the part where I was like super impressed by it. So you have these purple strands and these spores that are like melting into each one of the panels, and they're like these irregular, more organic looking shapes. It's just crazy stuff. And then here's the conclusion where she basically elects to sacrifice herself and become one with the green. So it's so cool. I'm loving Poison Ivy. This is why I stick with it. The story is very serviceable, but the art just takes it to a whole nother level and has been that way since issue number 1. So Poison Ivy issue number 22. I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.2. This is volume 4. So we're still kind of working our way through. I think I have one more hardcover, and I think they already came out with volume 6. So that would be kind of the latest and greatest. So then next up here, we have Echolands, issue number 6. So this is going to be the conclusion. Remember, this is kind of our weird, like, oblong looking book. This one, I gave it a 4. Lee gave it a 4.3. The reason I gave it a 4 is because I know what happens at the end of this, which is unfortunate. If you were reading this and you didn't know, I'd imagine you'd give it a higher score. But because I know, it's unfortunate. But Echolands, we have this ragtag group. They stole this gem from this wizard, and the wizard's trying to get it back. And the wizard is ultra powerful. So they go, they escape, they get to the main character, her ex-boyfriend's place. He turns them in, but he escapes as well. They show up in the middle of this like safe house, basically. There's a rocket for them to go and leave. The whole group's like, all right, we'll leave so we can escape the wizard, but we're actually going to make our final stand at this place called Horror Hill. So that was kind of catches you up as to where we're at right now. Romulus shows up. So that's the ex-boyfriend. He shows up. He escaped. He says he's not with the wizard, and he had no other choice. He wants to help and destroy the wizard as well. So everyone, after some fighting and arguing, is like, okay, you can join us. You be in the rocket ship as well. We'll go to Horror Hill. We'll resurrect the dead that the wizard has killed. We'll make them part of our army, and we'll go after the wizard. That's the plan. So they get in the rocket. They go. They take off. They land. When they get to Horror Hill, though, it's not what they expect. It is in the sense that it is gross and disgusting and grotesque, but they didn't expect to make enemies there or that they would have enemies waiting for them there. So this guy who, what's always that trope where they have, some sort of Grim Reaper skeletal thing, and he's on a boat, you pay him a toll, and then he takes you to the afterlife. They have that sort of equivalent. And he's like, welcome. And rather than, welcoming with open arms, he summons a whole bunch of zombies that goes after and tries to kill them. And so the fighting starts to happen, and it looks like they're going to be way overwhelmed until the king, I guess, of Horror Hill swoops in and stops the attack. And it's like, hey, I'm on your side as well. So looks like they've recruited who they needed to for Horror Hill, and things are going to be turned their way. But that's it. That is a cliffhanger. And that's it for Echolands. And there's nothing more that was written after this. So we never get the fight between the wizard and the group and Romulus. We never get an answer on the whole Transformer stuff that's happening on the other island with the one, part of the group that got separated. Is just done. It's just over. So that's the end. And so that just leaves it at a 4. Art's excellent. The story had a great pace, and I was like, oh, they'll probably wrap this up in like 2 more issues. And it's like, nope. I kept looking through the book, and it's just artwork after that. That's it. That's all they wrote. So kind of sad there because it just ends, and that's comics sometimes, especially on the independent side. You got to pay for all this stuff, and if it's not selling, it's not selling. So I'm a little disappointed you just don't get a complete story, but it is what it is. It's like basically stopping from, continuing on a long series or stopping in the middle of an arc. So that's just the unfortunate part there. But up till that point, I've been messing with some Echolands, man. It is crazy the artwork they start pumping out in this thing. Let's see here. If we can get to where we're at. So this is like this long comic book format, right? Or a comic strip format is the way that I should say, because obviously it's a comic book. But yeah, just take a look at the level of detail, the saturation. It has like these crazy, it's like readable, but at the same time, it's so bizarre, this paneling that they have here. So you have this whole rocket ship, and they're shooting and about to launch off, but it has, the dialogue as they go through the controls and everything. Then they go and they start taking off, flying through, and then they land in Horror Hill here. It's just an excellent art showpiece, and then that's where the fighting kind of begins from there. And then towards the end, you have all these different covers that are mixed in, and it has like a bunch of different albums that would be good to like listen to as you're going through it. It's so cool. It's truly, truly an art showpiece. You could put this on, kind of a night table or something like that, or in your living room. It was like an art piece, and just have people flip through it. Like, it is that type of book. It's crazy. So I do recommend it from that standpoint, but it's just bummer that you don't get a complete story here. So Echolands, I did enjoy my time with it for sure. Overall, I'd say I'd probably give it a 4. Let's see, what did League end up giving it for this? Probably have to go back here. Yeah, League probably gave it a 4.2. But for me, overall, the whole piece, I gave it a 4. So with that, we'll go to the final one here, which is going to be Batman Dark Patterns, issue number 1. So I wanted to get this so bad after seeing top 5, pick of the weeks. Always, Dark Patterns was in there. Always, always, always. So once they got to volume 1, I was like, okay, they're going to keep going, and it's going to be a 12-part. Let's just wait for volume 2, and then I'll go ahead and get both. Turns out then they let out a trade that has both of them combined together. So this is going to be 12 issues in total, a much larger trade, so kind of like Fables, that size. For right now, issue number 1. Lee gave it a 4.4. I gave it a 4.5. Of course, it's going to be an excellent one to go ahead and jump into. Look at the thickness on the spine. So it's a big boy, right? Just like Fables. So it's going to take a while for us to get through this one, but that's totally okay. I am already so interested in where it goes after this first one. This iteration of Batman, very heavy on the investigation, the detective work, the mystery of it all, which I love. So I am looking forward to all of that aspect of it. We have Batman, got 2 victims. They seem like they have absolutely nothing to do with one another. Of course, Batman figures out, here's the thing that ties them together. And not only that, I know who the serial killer is going to strike next. Of course, he gets there on time. And who does he find but this interesting villain with this interesting character of Wound Man, just what we're calling him. But he's got a whole bunch of different punctures and knives and all these like death devices on him. If you like touch him in the slightest way, he is going to die. Like pins that are right next to arteries, nails that are like right next to his temple, things that are so close to his spine. So that way, if Batman were to touch him or incapacitate him, he's going to end up killing him. So that makes it very, very tricky on how is he going to fight him. Like, he can't just block a certain way. He basically has to take the punches that are coming at him. Crazy, right? Just a ticking time bomb. And, you know, Batman, such a strict code. So he's like, what do I do? So as he's fighting, the potential victim has a firearm, shoots it, and that scares off Wound Man to jump through a window, and he's gone. And so Batman, of course, is extraordinarily pissed off, goes back home, talks with Alfred. Now he's trying to figure out, okay, what are the next steps of, like, who is this guy? What is he all about? Who's going to be the next victim? How do I stop him? So many questions to answer, right? It's so cool. So I'm already into it. I understand why League is so high on it. If it just continues this way and it only gets better, hell yeah. I don't think it's just one mystery. I think it's 3 or 4 that are scattered throughout this 12 issue series. So it'd be really cool if it's like all interconnected towards the end. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. It's very, very well written. Go ahead and show off the artwork, which is excellent as well. It's a great piece. And it's Batman. Come on. So it's finally like, not finally, because there have been some, plenty of very good Batman, but it is truly like detective work, classic in a way. Batman. He's in the lair with like the big screen and everything, and like working at the desk. It's all the classic stuff, right? So it's really, really cool. So right now, very much a recommend. Like, look at this villain. So he's got all these pressure points and these pins and these just spikes and just sharp objects impaled inside of him, and you just can't touch him at all. And then here's the cover for the next one with all these push pins and nails like all surrounded by his eye. Like, what a freak. How the hell can he absorb all this pain? On the bottom left here, they're looking at some sort of encyclopedia, and it looks like, oh yeah, he looks like he's spoofing off of this thing where he's got like these lesions and these spikes and darts and knives all inside of him, but is like still alive and standing. So that's kind of what this Wound Man is like as well. It's cool. It's very, very cool. So yeah, that is Batman Dark Patterns. Again, I gave it a 4.5. League gave it a 4.4. So with that concludes the show, folks. Let me just recap everything so you know. We had Daredevil issue number 1. We got Matt Murdock as a law professor, and he's taking on a vigilante, but he can't figure out his patterns. We got X-Men issue number 28, continuation of the Danger Room. Psylocke presumed to be dead. She's still alive. We got Omega Kid and Temper trying to find out who shot Blob, and the rest of the X-Men are trapped in the Danger Room. Absolute Superman issue number 18. Start of a new arc with King Shazam. We have the Autumn Kingdom, the Wraithbound Queen issue number 3. Both winter and summer. Going further down into the cave, they finally located their father. Can they free him? The Royals issue number 1. 2 brothers cheating at poker games and poker tournaments, but they look like they're about to get caught. Saga issue number 54. Man, what a tearjerker. This one is where Marco is now dead. We'll see what the fallout is after that. Ghost Pepper, around issue number 3. Got Laloy and her rival food truck operator is going after her, and the Grand Batar is freaked out. He realizes that Ash is back. Then we had Poison Ivy, issue number 22, the fight between Woodrow and Poison Ivy, and Poison Ivy decides she needs to sacrifice herself. Echolands, issue number 6, the conclusion here. The crew makes it to Horror Hill. It looks like they have the King of Horror Hill on their side, but sadly, it's going to end there. And then lastly, Batman Dark Patterns, issue number 1, introduced to Wound Man, and how is Batman going to stop him, and who is his next intended victim. So yeah, those, folks, are the 10 books that we reviewed. With that, we'll go ahead into the polls for next week. We are locked and loaded with just 6 books in total. Hope that is the wrong camera. 6 books in total For next week, it's going to be Absolute Batman issue number 19. We got G.I. Joe issue number 21. Kill All Immortals 2 issue number 4. Redcoat, oh nice, Redcoat number 17. Haven't seen Redcoat in a while. Tigress Island issue number 2. And then Ultimate Wolverine number 16. So those will be the 6 books. We'll see whether or not I get to them or not, folks. It's just really all up in the air. I will definitely have a episode for you guys for next week. After that, we're going to get a little dicier, so we'll see. I don't want to promise anything beyond that, but you'll have one for next Saturday for sure. So with that, I think we go ahead and close it out. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you'd like to follow the social media channels, check them out in the description below. Excuse me, getting tongue-tied here towards the end. And if you'd like to follow or support the show monetarily, there is a URL down below, buymeacoffee.com/SaturdayMorningReview. All proceeds will basically go towards the comic books. So if you want to help out that way, any amount would be greatly appreciated. So yeah, I think we'll go ahead and close it out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Go, 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 go.
This has been a DMW production. Thanks for stopping by.